Have you ever been thrown away like you didn't matter at all? Like the world decided your value and never gave you a chance to fight back? This story is not about Rudo. It's about what happens when the world throws you away like garbage. And you have to decide. Do you let that define you? Or do you turn that anger into something the world can't ignore? Most people who get discarded, stay discarded. But some people, they climb back up from hell itself. Here's the brutal truth about life. The world doesn't care about fairness. It will crush you for things that aren't your fault. It will take everything from you and call it justice, then expect you to disappear quietly. Most people, when they're thrown to the bottom, break. They accept it. They give up. They fade away. But here's what separates the people who rise from the people who don't. Rage. Not mindless destruction, but focused fury. The refusal to accept that your story ends where someone else decided it should. Because anger isn't weakness. When it's controlled, when it's directed, it becomes the fuel that turns survivors into forces of nature. Rudo didn't start as a fighter. He started as a kid living in the clouds, literally. In a world divided between the clean, perfect city above and the trash heap below. He had a normal life, a mentor he loved, a future that felt real. And then it all disappeared in a single moment. He was framed for murder, accused of killing the one person who believed in him, and without trial, without proof, without mercy. He was thrown into the abyss, the pit where society dumps its trash and its unwanted. The fall wasn't just physical, it was the sound of being erased. Most people don't survive the bottom, but Rudo did. And when he hit the ground, covered in filth, surrounded by darkness, he made a choice. I'm not dying here, I'm climbing back up, and I'm going to prove my innocence, even if I have to tear through hell to do it. At some point, one idea took root in his mind. The world threw me away, so I'll use what they discarded to fight back. In the abyss, Rudo discovered something dangerous. Trash has power. The garbage that falls from above, the things the privileged world considers worthless, could be turned into weapons through a power called vital instrument, and Rudo had a gift for it. He could turn literal trash into tools of destruction. The irony wasn't lost on him. The world called him garbage, so he became a weapon forged from everything they threw away. That belief gave him purpose. It kept him alive. But rage is rocket fuel. It'll get you moving fast, and if you don't learn to control it, it burns you alive. Rage gave him direction. But direction without control always leads somewhere dangerous. The problem wasn't the belief. The problem was that rage became his identity. Because Rudo didn't just want to survive, he wanted revenge. He wanted to make everyone who abandoned him pay. And that anger made him strong. But it also made him reckless. He threw himself into fights he couldn't win. He pushed away people who tried to help him. He saw enemies everywhere. Because when you've been betrayed once, trust feels more dangerous than violence. So he isolated himself. He convinced himself he had to do this alone. That needing anyone meant he was still that helpless kid who got thrown away. And the worst part? He started to believe the world was right. That maybe he really was just trash pretending to be something more. This is where strength becomes a prison. Rudo got stronger. He survived impossible odds. He mastered the power of waste, but he wasn't free. He was trapped in a cycle of anger and pain. Every victory felt hollow. Every battle carved scars deeper than skin. And the people who tried to reach him, the ones who saw the hurt kid beneath the rage, he pushed them away, because letting them in meant admitting he was in pain. And pain felt like weakness. So he wore his anger like armor, but armor that heavy eventually crushes you. And this is the part most people miss. Strength built on hatred always collapses inward. Then something began to change. Not all at once, not in one dramatic moment, but through the people of the abyss, the misfits, the discarded, the forgotten. People just like him. Thrown away by a world that didn't care. They didn't see him as trash. They saw him as someone worth fighting beside. And slowly, Rudo realized something. He wasn't just fighting to prove the world wrong anymore. He was fighting to protect people who had nowhere else to go. His rage didn't disappear. It transformed. It stopped being about destruction and became about protection. It stopped being about proving his worth to people who would never care and started being about building something worth defending. Because you can't change the past. You can't force people to see what they refuse to see, but you can decide what you build with the pieces they left you. If the world called you worthless and threw you away, would you let that be the end of your story? Or would you turn that trash into something they could never ignore?